Hello, dear friend. Here we are again, Sunday, and another episode of Shakespeare with Izzy. So we are up to Act 4, Scene 1, but before we get into that, if you take 1 second and just think to yourself, is there something that you could be super grateful for today? For me, having the day off. I haven't had a day off, it feels like, in a very long time. And yeah, getting to do domestic things that actually make me feel better about life. And getting to read this. What a blessing. So Act 4, Scene 1. The wood. Lysander, Demetrius, Helena and Hermia lying asleep. Enter Titania and Bottom, Peas Blossom, Cobweb, Moth, Mustard Seed, and other fairies attending. Oberon behind unseen. Titania. Come to Bottom. Come, sit thee down upon this flowery bed, while I thy amiable cheeks do coy, and stick musk roses in thy sleek smooth head, and kiss thy fair large ears, my gentle joy. Bottom. Where's Peas Blossom? Peas Blossom. Ready. Bottom. Scratch my head, Peas Blossom. Where's Monsieur Cobweb? Cobweb. Ready. Bottom. Monsieur Cobweb. Good Monsieur, get your weapons in your hand and kill me a red-hipped humble bee on the top of a thistle. And, good Monsieur, bring me the honey bag. Do not fret yourself too much in the action, Monsieur. And, good Monsieur, take a care the honey bag break not. I would be loath to have you overflown with a honey bag, Signor. Where's Monsieur Mustard Seed? Mustard Seed. Ready. Bottom. Give me your nief, Monsieur Mustard Seed. Pray you, leave your courtesy, good Monsieur. Mustard Seed. What's your will? Bottom. Nothing, good Monsieur, but to help Cavallary Peas Blossom to scratch. I must to the barber's, Monsieur, for methinks I am marvellous hairy about the face, and I am such a tender ass. If my hair do but tickle me, I must scratch. Titania. What? Wilt thou hear some music, my sweet love? Bottom. I have a reasonable good ear in music. Let's have the tongs and bones. Tongs rule music. Play. Titania. Or say, sweet love, what thou desirest to eat. Bottom. Truly, a peck of provender. I could munch your good dry oats. Methinks I have a great desire to a bottle of hay. Good hay. Sweet hay hath no fellow. Titania. I have a venturous fairy that shall seek the squirrel's hoard and fetch thee hence new nuts. Bottom. I had rather have a handful or two of dried peas. But I pray you, let none of your people stir me. I have an exposition of sleep come upon me. Titania. Sleep thou, and I will wind thee in my arms. Fairies, be gone, and be always away. Exeunt fairies. Continue Titania. So doth the woodbine, the sweet honeysuckle, gently entwist. The female ivy so enrings the barky fingers of the elm. Oh, how I love thee, how I dote on thee. They sleep. Titania and Bottom. Enter Puck. Oberon to Puck, advancing. Welcome, good Robin. Seest thou this sweet sight? Her dotage now I do begin to pity. For meeting her of late behind the wood, seeking sweet favours for this hateful fool, I did upbraid her, and fall out with her. For she his hairy temples then had rounded with coronet of fresh and fragrant flowers, and that same dew, which sometimes on the buds was wont to swell like round and orient pearls, stood now within the pretty floweret's eyes like tears that did their own disgrace bewail. When I had at my pleasure taunted her, and she in mild terms begged my patience, I then did ask of her changeling child, which straight she gave me, and her fairy sent to bear him to my bower in fairyland. And now I have the boy, I will undo this hateful imperfection of her eyes. And gentle Puck, take this transformed scalp from off the head of this Athenian swain, that he, awaking when the other do, may all to Athens back again repair, and think no more of this night's accidents, but as the fierce vexation of a dream. But first, I will release the fairy queen. Be as thou wast wont to be, touching her eyes with an herb. See as thou wast wont to see. Dian's bud o'er Cupid's hour hath such force and blessed power. Now, Titania, now my Titania, wake you, my sweet queen. Titania, my Oberon, what visions have I seen? Methought I was enamoured of an ass. Oberon, there lies your love. Titania, how come these things to pass? Oh, how mine eyes do loathe his visage now. Oberon, silence a while. Robin, take off his head. Titania, music call, and strike more dead than common sleep of all these five the sense. Titania, music, ho, music, such as charmeth sleep. Music still. Puck, now when thou wakest, with thine own fool's eyes peep. That's to Bottom. Oberon, sound, music, come, my queen, take hands with me, and rock the ground whereon these sleepers be. Now thou and I are new in amity, and will tomorrow midnight solemnly dance in Duke Theseus's house triumphantly, and bless it to all fair prosperity. There shall the pairs of faithful lovers be wedded, with Theseus all in jollity. Puck, fairy king, attend and mark, I do hear the morning lark. Oberon, then, my queen, in silence sad trip we after the night's shade. We the globe can compass soon, swifter than the wandering moon. Titania, come, my lord, and in our flight, tell me how it came this night that I, sleeping here, was found with these mortals on the ground. Exeunt, wind horns. Enter Theseus, Hippolyta, Aegeus, and train. Theseus, go, one of you, find out the forester, for now our observation is performed, and since we have the voward of the day, my love shall hear the music of my hounds. Uncouple in the western valley. Go, dispatch, I say, and find the forester. Exit an attendant. Theseus continues. We will, fairy queen, up to the mountain's top, and mark the musical confusion of hounds and echo in conjunction. Hippolyta, I was with Hercules and Cadmus once, when in a wood of Crete they bayed the bear with hounds of Sparta. Never did I hear such gallant chiding, for besides the groves, the skies, the mountains, every region near seem all one mutual cry. I never heard so musical a discord, such sweet thunder. Theseus, my hounds are bred out of the Spartan kind, so flued, so sanded, and their heads are hung with ears that sweep upon the morning dew, crook-kneed, but dew-lapped like the Thessalian bulls, slow in pursuit, but matched in mouth like bells, each under each. A cry more tunable was never hollered to, nor cheered with horn in Crete, in Sparta, nor in Thessaly. Judge when you hear. But soft, what nymphs are these? Aegeus, my lord, this is my daughter here asleep, and this Lysander. This Demetrius as it is. This Helena, old Nida's Helena. I wonder if they're being here together. Theseus. No doubt they rose up early to observe the rites of May, and, hearing our intent, came here in grace of our solemnity. But speak, Aegeus, is not this the day that Hermia should give answer of her choice? Aegeus. It is, my lord. Theseus. Go bid the huntsmen wake them with their horns. Horns, and they wake. Shout within, and they all start up. Theseus continues. Good morrow, friends. Saint Valentine is past. Begin these wood birds but to couple now? Lysander. I'm going to say that line again because that makes no sense. Theseus. Good morrow, friends. Saint Valentine is past. Begin these wood birds but to couple now. Lysander. Pardon, my lord. Theseus. I pray you all stand up. I know you two are rival enemies. How comes this gentle concord in the world that hatred is so far from jealousy to sleep by hate and fear no enmity? Lysander. My lord, I shall reply amazedly. Half sleep, half waking, but as yet I swear I cannot truly say how I came here. But as I think, for truly would I speak, and now I do bethink me, so it is, I came with Hermia hither. Our intent was to be gone from Athens, where we might, without the peril of the Athenian law, Aegeus, enough, my lord. You have enough. I beg the law upon his head. They would have stolen away, they would, Demetrius, thereby to have defeated you and me. You of your wife, and me of my consent that she should be your wife. Demetrius. Oh, my lord, fair Helen told me of their stealth, of this their purpose hither to this wood. And I in fury hither followed them, fair Helena in fancy following me. But, my good lord, I wot not by what power, but by some power it is, my love to Hermia, melted as the snow, seems to be now as the remembrance of an idle gaud, which in my childhood I did dote upon, and all the faith, the virtue of my heart, the object and the pleasure of mine eye, is only Helena. To her, my lord, was I betrothed ere I saw Hermia, but like in sickness did I loathe this food, but as in health come to my natural taste, now I do wish it, love it, long for it, and will forevermore be true to it. Theseus. Fair lovers, you are fortunately met. Of this discord we more will hear anon. Aegeus, I will overbear your will, for in the temple by and by with us these couples shall eternally be knit. And for the morning now is something worn, our purposed hunting shall be set aside. Away with us to Athens, 3 and 3 we'll hold a feast in great solemnity. Come, Hippolyta. Exeunt Theseus, Hippolyta, Aegeus, and train. Demetrius. These things seem small and undistinguishable, like far-off mountains turned into clouds. Hermia. Methinks I see these things with parted eye when everything seems double. Helena. So methinks, and I have found Demetrius like a gemel, mine own and not mine own. Demetrius. Are you sure that we are awake? It seems to me that yet we sleep, we dream. Do not you think the Duke was here and bid us follow him? Hermia. Yea, and my father. Helena. And Hippolyta. Lysander. And he did bid us follow to the temple. Demetrius. Why then, we are awake. Let's follow him, and by the way, let us recount our dreams. Exeunt. Bottom. Awaking. When my cue comes, call me and I will answer. My next is Most Fair Pyramus. Hey ho. Peter Quince. Flute the bellows mender. Snout the tinkler. Starveling? God's my life. Stolen hence and left me asleep. I have had a most rare vision. I have had a dream. Past the wit of man to say what dream it was. Man is but an ass if he go about to expound this dream. Methought I was... There is no man can tell what. Methought I was... And methought I had... But man is but a patched fool, if he will offer to say what methought I had. The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen, man's hand is not able to taste, his tongue to conceive, nor his heart to report what my dream was. I will get Peter Quince to write a ballet of this dream. It shall be called Bottom's Dream, because it hath no bottom. And I will sing it in the latter end of the play before the Duke. Peradventure, to make it the more gracious, I shall sing it at his death. Exit Bottom. Crazy. That is the end of Act 4, Scene 1. We are sweeping through A Midsummer Night's Dream. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about anything. That was a bit of a complex scene, but I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again next Sunday.